I really don't want to make this video. I don't even know how to start it, but I feel like it just has to be done. I brought myself in a coffee and I'm procrastinating. That's not very good. If I'm just being super honest with myself and with you guys, I failed my resolutions. Almost all of my 2019 resolutions I failed. And it's crazy because 2019 started off such a good way. It had just such an amazing start. In 2019, in January, I started writing my book, and by April, I had pretty much finished all of the first draft. I was so passionate about writing my memoir that I just was going, and I was doing my podcast and putting out 2 episodes a week, and these episodes were getting about like 30,000 listens, which to me, that's a shit ton, and I was so proud. And in February, we packed up and moved across the country from Ohio to California for Noah's job. We were taking big chances. I was making a good amount of money, and I was able to help and, help people like my family and give them money if they needed it. And, that's something I've always wanted to do, was to be able to give back. I was just in love with my life, and I had all these goals of publishing my book in 2019 and getting back into YouTube and doing all of this stuff, and I didn't. I really started out strong, and then my mom came to visit, and if you don't know the whole backstory about me and my mom, I highly recommend listening to my life story. I will link it up on the screen or down below. But, she, as much as she doesn't want to believe it, was a very, to me, manipulative, abusive parent, sometimes physically, but mostly verbally. I would say mostly verbally, and she's very good at pretending it never happened. If you've ever heard about the term gaslighting, my mom is the excellent gaslighter. She has taught herself that it never happened, and for a long time she'd convinced me it didn't happen, and it just recently my brothers have started to really realize what they were going through. And in the past year, my mom has lost custody of my 2 brothers because of that, and she still doesn't understand that she was doing something wrong. She still always thinks that the world's out to get her. She does struggle with some, I don't want to go into it in this video. Definitely watch my life story and you'll understand. So we had them come out to LA, and it was my mom and my youngest brother's first time ever flying. And it was definitely their first time ever in Los Angeles, and they're from a small town and it's very different here. And it started out honestly a really great trip, and by the end it had gone really south, and there was a huge fight and it was really bad. He told me at the end that if he had grown up like that, he didn't know how he would be today. He was saying, like, it was honestly really meaningful. Noah was like, I don't know how you and your brothers are so strong, because that hurt me, inside so much, having someone act that way, because it was hours and hours of her screaming how much she effing hated us and wished she hadn't had us, and how we ruined her life, and all these, she can just keep going, and we had to kick her out of our house. And then she sat outside of our apartment and did this for hours. At one point, our neighbor threatened to call the cops. They did call our landlord on us, which was extremely embarrassing. And in the end, we did have to remove her and have her stay at a hotel room in a hotel for the rest of the trip. And I wasn't happy about that, but at the end I realized that I had to cut off that relationship. And I'm going to make an entire video, that's not what this is about today, but I am going to make an entire video about closing that chapter, and how I've done that, because it wasn't a good process. I'm sure there will come a time when I reach out, but I'm just not ready, because it broke me. Like, when she was here, it broke me this time, and I went in like the biggest mental health relapse that I've had in a very long time, and I cried every single day for a month. And Noah was scared, because I was saying things that I've never said since I was a teenager. Really, I don't know, I started believing everything she said, that I did ruin her life, and maybe I did make it up all in my head, and all the things she did weren't that bad. And it was hard, because it really put me in a bad place, and I realized how deeply afraid I am of her still, because I don't even know why, but I am deathly afraid of that woman. And because of that, I put myself in a place of fear. And when you are in some sort of negative emotion, if you don't take care of it, it will keep manifesting and manifesting and getting bigger and bigger. So I went from having this book that was ready to be sent off to a publisher. I wasn't ever going to brag. I just wanted to wait until it was done, but I was in talks with Simon & Schuster, which is one of the biggest publishing houses. They published, I don't know names off the top of my head, but huge books. You know, like the biggest books you read most likely are published by them. And I had sent them a little bit of my book, a snippet, and it was on a whim, and they loved it. All of a sudden, after my mom being there, she basically told me if I was to publish something like that about my life, you know, she was going to sue me. She would make sure that it didn't happen. And so I dropped the book. I decided I was going to put it away until I was ready to face her, until I was ready to say, Mom, I'm publishing it, whether or not you like it. And I couldn't do it. I got really afraid. And that fear just kept manifesting itself. And it's like all of a sudden I stopped filming. I was like, well, now I'm afraid of people seeing me as a failure when I tell them that I'm not writing my book. And then all of a sudden I was afraid to do my podcast, because I was like, well, if I can't stand up to my mom, who am I to give them life advice? So I stopped my podcast. Suddenly, like the littlest things would get to me. I never cared about criticism, but all of a sudden I was so afraid of failure, afraid of criticism, afraid of what people thought about me. And it was kind of like manifesting into people. I started thinking like I would pick one person to fixate on. Like, what if this person doesn't like me? And I would like let that run my life. And I've never done that before. I mean, maybe in high school, but I just became this person that isn't me after she left. And I'm not putting that blame on her. I'm not. It's just, that's what happened. I let myself get to a really bad place, and I did pick myself back up from it. But by the time I picked myself back up, I had already let so many things I worked so hard for just go. I just stopped trying. Sorry, there's people walking by. I stopped caring. And when I finally got out of that negative space, I don't know, I didn't really know how to begin again. I even stopped going to the gym. I had someone comment on a video a few weeks ago, and it like terrified me, because I still was like figuring things out, saying like, you know, my face had gained weight. And first off, not nice, don't comment on people's weight, but, and I was like, oh my gosh, like my face has gained weight. And then I was so afraid to go to the gym. I stopped caring about what I was eating. I've always been someone who eats very balanced. I love eating vegetables and fruits, because I like eating foods that wake me up. And I feel like, you know, when you eat heavy foods, like processed foods, it does make you tired. So I love during the day eating foods that wake me up and give me energy. But I also love processed foods because I like to enjoy my life, and I am not afraid or ashamed to say I like getting pizza with my husband on Fridays, or baking cookies, or going to get banana pudding on a whim. And I've always been really good at balancing that, but it just kind of became one side where I just ate junk. I don't like to use certain words, so I never want to trigger someone who does like suffer, you know, with an eating disorder, but processed foods. I want to say I just started eating nothing but processed foods, sugar, fried foods, carbs, nothing that my body needed, only what my body wanted to cope. And I just didn't care. This was maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I didn't really know what to do next. I kind of thought maybe it was too far gone. I was like, no, I deleted all my videos. I might as well give up. Maybe I'll get a different job, you know, maybe I should just stop all of this. And that was really where I was at. And then thankfully the deep down Lindsay that's somewhere in here like waved a hand eventually, and I just realized one night, like, is that really it? Is that really what I'm gonna let it come to? That I fought so freaking hard to get out of everything I went through growing up. I literally went through losing my virginity to sexual assault, a mother that struggled with substance abuse and heavily abused me my whole life and made me feel worthless every single day. When the police would come, or if we'd get evicted, literally we would get evicted when I was younger, or the police would come and she'd get in trouble, and it was always my fault. My brother got taken away from DFACS when I was 15, and she would scream at me, blood-faced, for hours that it was my fault because she had me, that she couldn't be a good mother to him. And I fought through that, and I made sure that I kept myself strong because I wanted to be there for my brothers so that I could tell them when I got older, she's not the truth. Like, there is more to what she says. And I fought through that. And then I made this, you know, I got myself out, I moved out of my hometown, I saved a lot of money, and do I really wanted to say, like, I went through all of that to stop because of fear? Because I don't know what's gonna happen next, because I let fear run my life for 6 months, I'm just gonna say I give up? How dumb would that be, right? So yes, I completely stopped caring about my resolutions in 2019. I stopped caring about my goals. I didn't feel good enough for this platform. I didn't feel good enough for my book, but I don't want to feel like that anymore. And I don't feel like that. It's like I finally reminded myself like who I am. And this goes for you too, that the people that get somewhere in life, they aren't unafraid. They're not fearless. They're probably terrified just like you and me, but they do it anyways. I did not come this far to just throw in the towel and say that's it. And you shouldn't either. I don't know what your 2019 was like, but 2020 is going to be your year if you want it to be. There is no such thing as a new year, new me, but there is a such thing as a new year, same year, new year, same you, same me, new attitude, new levels of self-respect, new plans, new motivation, new determination, new resilience, new creativity, new boundaries, new mental health practices. We don't have to change ourselves. We just have to demand better for ourselves. That's what we're doing in the new year. We don't have to become new humans. We just have to realize how wonderful of human beings we already are. This is you too. How wonderful we already are. How deserving every single person on this planet is. And how if we want something, we just have to get up and work for it. You know, so even though this wasn't the most career success year of my life, this was the most transformative. I learned a lot about myself and about my life and how things that I needed for, sorry, the light's coming in really weird. Things I needed to do for myself. I learned how to set boundaries. I learned how to take care of myself again. And there's a lot that I learned this year that I'm very grateful for. And because of that, I don't look back at this year as a failure. You know, yes, a little sad, but not a failure. I look at it as something I needed to go through and that needed to happen. And I do believe that because I went through it and didn't just give up, that's something that I will come out strong in 2020. You know, because I could have went through all of it and just gave up, but I'm not. And I hope you aren't giving up if for some reason you watch this because you feel like you haven't, you know, gone after your goals this year or the past year. So I hope that you will stick around for 2020 because I promise I have some amazing videos coming up and I am back. I remember at the beginning of 2019, everyone all the time would tell me how inspired they were by me and how much I helped them in their lives, and I'm ready to get back to that because I do feel like that's what I was meant for and I want to be that person again, and I'm excited. So I hope you're excited. Let me know down below any videos you want to see in 2020, or let me know anything. Let me know what your resolutions are, or just say hi if you want. I'd love to catch up with you, and I love you all so much from the bottom of my heart. I love you so much, and I will talk to you all next time. Bye.